How's it going? I want to talk a little bit about point shooting. Now, a lot of people say, oh, you should never point shoot. What is point shooting? Point shooting is shooting without using your sight. As you can see, I have the sights on my Glock here taped up where I can't use my rear sight. Before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about distance. 90% of all gunfights or defensive shootings happen between 9 and 15 feet. Past 15 feet, you start getting into the 5% margin. Well, we're going to stick with the 9 to 15 feet, and I split the difference here, and I got marked off at 13 feet. Now, let's find out, does point shooting work? Okay, ignore my bootleg target here. I didn't feel like driving all the way to the range, but the paper plate, roughly size of high center chest on a human torso. And as you can see, I hit it every time. Yeah, not one flyer. I hit the paper plate every time using kinetic body alignment, using going into full lockout. Now, as human beings, we're fairly good at pointing at something and using things without mechanical sights. For example, you hit a nail with a hammer, there's no sights on it. Baseball players use baseball bats and they hit the ball quite a bit, there's no sights on it. So point shooting, it works, So, and another question, okay, so when do I point shoot and when do I aim? Well, it's when do you need to aim, all right? From 9 to 15 feet where you don't need to aim. And all defensive shooting is, think of it as a balance of speed and precision. All right, what I mean by balance of speed and precision, let's say, okay, you have speed. See if I get my marker to work here. And you have precision, right? Say you only have 10 points. You can divide out evenly amongst them. Amongst the two. So you have, okay, 10 points. So at 9 to 15 feet, where most gunfights happen, right? You don't need a whole lot of precision, but you do need speed. So let's say you could put 8 points into speed, and that leaves you with only 2 points into precision. Now let's say at 20 feet, which is most likely not likely where you're going to get in a gunfight, because based on the data, only 5% of all gunfights happen after 15 feet. But let's say it does happen, okay, with past 15 feet, or maybe a headshot. You have to rely less on speed, more on precision. So now let's say you put 8 points into precision and 2 into speed, right? Now this is subjective. My 8 points in precision may be different than your 8 points in precision. I could all day I could shoot with kinetic body alignment at 9 to 15 feet. And it's okay. So when do you use your sights? When you need to, not necessarily when can you use your sights. You can always use your sights. At 9 to 15 feet, it's going to be speed. Speed is what's going to win the gunfight. I don't care how much you go to a range. When someone who pulls out a handgun just a little bit faster than you and just cracks one off, I'm not going to take time to get sight alignment, sight picture. And when you're using your sights, you can't really track well, especially at night. There's no contrast. 60% of all gunfights happen in low light situations, so you don't have much contrast, especially if somebody's wearing a dark colored or black shirt. And if they're a moving target, it's hard to track well, and most likely you're going to be bug-eyed and fixated on the target. You're probably not even going to use your sight. So remember that all defensive shooting is a balance of speed and precision. When you're up close, it's speed that matters, who can get off faster. When you're further away, you may need to lay off the gas a little bit, and that's where taking your time in a hurry comes into play. That's where precision is going to become more of a factor at distance. So you don't always need to use your sights, right? As they say, the proof is in the pudding. I showed that you can shoot without using your sights at 9 to 15 feet, where 90% of all defensive shootings happen in the United States.